Good evening, I am Matthew Bolin, also known as The Light, and tonight I would like to talk about a somewhat personal subject on parenting. And there are several topics that I will be discussing. They may get a little jumbled, and this may be a slightly lengthy video, but please bear with me. The first part, discipline. Parents have seemed to come to the conclusion that they cannot discipline their children whatsoever. As examples of this form of discipline that I'm talking about are spanking being the top one. Parents think that if they spank their children, that automatically DSS is going to get involved and that they're going to go to jail. This is not the case. You can spank your child. You just cannot leave a bruise. You cannot leave a mark on them. And children, because of this, have become completely and utterly wild. They think that they can hide behind the protection of DSS and do and say what they want to. For example, I've been to restaurants several times, and sitting across from me have been parents with children, and children would ask for something like ice cream or some kind of dessert, and the parents would say, "Well, little Jimmy, not until you're done eating your peas or your carrots or something." And the child would complete and utterly throw a temper tantrum and start screaming and kicking and whining and crying. When I was a child, I would not in my wildest dreams have dreamt of acting like that in public. My parents would have blistered my behind until I could not have sat down. Going into Walmart and parents letting their children sit in the buggies and just kick and scream and cry. People have come to think of this as acceptable behavior. This is not acceptable behavior. It is not acceptable of the child. It is not acceptable of the parent. If your child's kicking and screaming, take them into the bathroom and pop them. You do not have to leave a bruise on them or any type of mark to get your point across. A quick little tap, a little sting, enough to leave a tiny little red place for about 5 seconds, will give the point. They will understand, hey, I'm not supposed to be doing this. I'm going to get in trouble if I do this. But no, children, if they get popped, I'm going to call DSS on you. The next time a child says this, I hope and pray that a parent looks at the child, says, here's the phone, call them. But while you're calling them, from the time they get that you get off that phone till the time they get here, I'm going to give them a reason to take you. And when DSS gets there, I would look at them and I pray the parent would say, if you can do better with this child, you take them and raise them. Because they won't listen to me, they're disrespectful, and they won't do anything that I say. Children think anymore that they are the boss of their parents. Parents have lost the authority. They let their children tell them to shut up. They let their children cuss at them. They let their children get what they want. Yeah, when I was a child, I got things that I wanted, but not all the time. I didn't get a new toy or a new video game or something every time I said, hey, I want this, you should get it. My parents didn't go, "Oh, okay, Matthew, I'll get it for you. Coming right up, master. You guys, you know, you are the boss. We're the parents. We created you, but you're the master of our universe. You dictate what's going on to us." No. My parents got it when they were ready. And I wouldn't have dreamed of telling an adult, let alone my parents, to shut up. I would have probably got my teeth knocked down my throat. Letting your children bow up to you and try fighting you, and this goes on later in the teenage years, not so much as children, that is also not acceptable parenting. That is not acceptable of the teenager / child. If your child tries punching you or hitting you, by all means, please pick up something like a broom handle and wear their behind out with it. I guarantee you, you do it one good time, they will not bow up to you anymore. These parents, okay, another thing, parents letting their children, I won't so much say as letting, I mean, parents say they don't have control over what their children do anymore. But children getting pregnant at the ages of 11, 12, 13, this is not acceptable. And I say don't blame the media. I preach that a lot. But one media outlet that I will blame is 16 and Pregnant. Yes, the show was supposed to make it to where children would not want to get pregnant. But they don't make it seem as bad as it actually is to get pregnant and have to raise a child at that age. That's children raising children. That's another reason that discipline's not being given out as much anymore. Children raising children. Children should have their behinds popped. You don't have to pop them, but you don't. You can use timeout. That's another form of discipline. You could ground them. But if you're going to ground them or put them on restriction and take stuff from them, as soon as they start behaving and acting right, don't give that stuff back to them immediately. Wait till the allotted amount of time that you said that you were taking it from them is up, and then give it back. Another form of other ways of teaching your kids discipline: put them in karate. That'll teach discipline. Put them in any type of recreational activity. Okay, now I'm going to go to the subject of parents living through their children. A lot of parents think that it's okay to force their children into something like karate, like playing the guitar, like playing drums, like going into dance class, going to gymnastics. That's okay to force your children into this because it's either something you did as a child or something that you wanted to do and didn't, or when you were doing it you did not achieve your goal while you were doing it. We are not your puppets. We are not your carbon copies. We are not your doubles. We are not your little mini-me's. You've lived your life. Don't live through us. When children make mistakes, don't instantly berate them for their mistakes. Discuss the mistakes with them. Children are going to make the mistakes. And don't tell them that it was stupid that they made it. They know it was stupid. But we're all human. We're going to make our mistakes. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. That goes into talking to your children and talking at your children. They're two different things. Complete opposites. Talking to your children or with your children is your child comes to you, little Jimmy comes to you with a problem, and you ask them what the problem was, and together you come to a common ground, a common understanding, and a common way to fix the problem. Or it doesn't have to be a problem. It could just be anything in general. but you come to a common conclusion and an agreement with each other on the subject. Talking at your children is when they're trying to discuss something with you and you're constantly interrupting, giving your input, or screaming at them with your input. Screaming at a child and teenager will not get your point across. It will upset them and they will instantly block you out. I'm now going to go into parents that have drug addiction. I do not think people that have a drug addiction should be allowed to have children. I think that they should have to give these children to family members that aren't on drugs or a responsible family friend. My father was addicted to several drugs, so I know this from experience. Not everybody's experience is the same, but usually when you're on drugs, you don't care that much about your children. You care about your drugs. And your kids, I don't care, from the time they're 4 forward, they're capable of comprehending what you're doing and knowing what you're doing is wrong. And it will mess up their head. If you have a drug addiction and have children in your life, I'm asking you to please get help. You might not think you need it, but it will help your children in the long run. Your children will grow to resent you if you do not, and you constantly keep them in that environment. Thankfully, my father quit. He learned his lesson, and me and him have resolved our differences and have an amazing relationship now. Alcoholics and parenting. I don't have a problem with alcohol unless you are a complete alcoholic and you are spending all your money on the alcohol and not taking care of your children. Also, if you're a violent alcoholic and you beat on your spouse or your child, that is unacceptable. I do not think that child abuse is as serious as it's made out to be. A lot of children say they've been abused when they've just been popped a couple of times. Yes, child abuse can be very, very serious, but some kids blow it way out of proportion. Not all kids do it, but some do. But if a child is being abused majorly, and it is legitimate abuse, whether it be verbal, mental, or physical, that parent should either have that child taken away or be made to get help. That's about all that I have to say on these subjects. I'm Matthew Bolin, also known as Light. I hope you have a good night, and may the light always shine upon you.